Hey, just a quick preface as to what this video is. Essentially, it's just me talking about how clever mechanics in a certain video game help distinguish it from other games and give it its own unique personality. I'm also going to be spreading awareness about a super promising game that's currently being developed in order to further discussion and hopefully get more people hyped about it. If any other RPG devs have issues with me posting this video, please let me know, preferably on Twitter, and I can take it down. With that out of the way, let's get into it. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm playing through a video game, I pay special attention to any sort of mechanic that I would consider outside the box. I just like seeing stuff that's going to make me reminisce on my past when I'm chilling, just eating my ham sandwich on a cloudy Tuesday afternoon, and the thought of flipping between dimensions in my 2D platformer suddenly barges into my brain. Nothing is wrong with a solid platformer that doesn't do a whole lot of extraordinary stuff, even when it's checking all the right boxes, most of the time. But if it's something that you've seen before, obviously you're gonna be left wanting something a little more.
I'm gonna use this for my example. New Super Mario Bros. 2 sucks.
No, it's actually not that bad.
What the
It's
fuck
not that
are
bad.
you talking about? It sucks dick.
It's actually not that bad.
What the fuck?
Wait, which Mario 2?
What are you talking about?
Mario Bros. 2 for the 3DS, new Soup
It's
2.
bad.
Oh wait, the 3DS version? I know that one fucking sucks.
That one sucks.
No, it's not that bad.
It's always a good feeling seeing games that broke the mold and did something different. It's what we remember the game by and what we identify the most about it. And that's exactly where I'd like to shift the focus, the concept of a game's identity. See, you can establish the identity of a game through its presentation, its characters and dialogue, the way the music makes you feel, the way the battles are paced, the way the story is written, the list goes on. Here, let me put it like this. The identity of a game such as Earthbound can be summarized as simply as this. You see the point here? Easy example to use because in this case it's a video game giving itself an identity and competition to the Final Fantasies and Chrono Triggers. Two very good games, but that's not the point. So it can be inferred that a certain variation in the soup of game elements aims towards its own unique identity. However, there are very rare instances when the focus of a game's identity comes from the concept of two different genres forming together in a beautiful, cohesive way. Here, let me explain. Games like Undertale combining traditional Earthbound-style JRPG mechanics with bullet hell thrown into the mix. Games like Overwatch taking core gameplay of first-person shooters and adding MOBA elements in there. Games like Crypt of the Necrodancer playing out as a dungeon-crawling roguelike in the style of a grid-based rhythm adventure. Jesus Christ, there's like 50 different video game genres in here. Games like Honey Pop combining puzzle and... Actually, yeah, maybe not that one. With that being said, I find that it isn't often that a fusion of two video game genres will come together to make a game happen, but when it does, that's usually what the game itself is known for, or its identity. So then that begs the question, what other genres can we fuse together to make a solid standalone brand of its own? Notice how I've mentioned Earthbound like twice already in this video? No? Oh, well, that's kinda awkward. Okay, well. Here's why. It's for two reasons. One, on top of being a solid franchise that has neat mechanics, characters and style, etc., I really like the Mother series because of its identity that it's made for itself. You know, it's like super distinguishable from literally every RPG of its time. I know this has been a topic that other people on this beautiful site called YouTube have addressed in the past, but that's literally what the game was created around in the first place. The fact that it just did something super different and totally made it unique, and that's something that's really cool to me. Two. Okay, now watch this.
Oh shit! It's all coming full circle now, baby!
Let me introduce to you Other, or Other Her Loving Embrace as its full title. It's an RPG that's been in development since 2017 and is the passion project of Quincy Pringle. That's right, it's a fucking Pringles can, let's get it. The story is centered around a boy named Gershom and a character known as the Wizard who travel through the countryside of Chestertown. You can even get a bigger in-depth narrative through this interview that Pringle did. Yeah, I'll just put that up in the corner if you want to check that out. By the looks of it, the style of the game draws heavy inspiration from NES-era titles such as the first Legend of Zelda or Mother 1. I actually did some digging and found that the tiles that the game's overworld utilizes comes from Dragon de Platino's, I hope I pronounced that correctly, Zoria tile set, so that's cool I guess. There are places to explore, people to talk to, enemies to fight, treasures to find, shops to buy stuff from. Hey, can we talk about this real quick? As of late, I've been really into the idea of a first-person-esque shop in games. Sure, it's not the first game to do this, but it definitely adds to the game's style. It almost feels immersive in the sense that you yourself are talking to the shopkeeper. It's pretty neat. Not a lot of top-down RPGs do this, but it's a cool touch and goes the extra mile as opposed to a rando NPC you just talked to. Anyway, one thing that I'm super excited about is the varied overworld and underworld areas that you can explore. You got grasslands, you got cliffs, you got forests, you got spooky, scary outpost dungeons. Obviously not a ton has been shown off, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more. Next aspect that I want to delve into is all the cool little mechanics that have been shown off, both major and minor. And yes, I'm saving the battle system for last. Shit's kinda dope. Alright, first off, dialogue choices. It's a nice mechanic in games that spices up an adventure and gives a bit of replayability with every interaction. Some games do it well, some games feel like they just crammed it in there, cause why not? I feel like dialogue choices in JRPGs are best kept as a nice little addition to the overall narrative without it becoming such an essential part to the game, unless it's some sort of like choose your own path scenario. Seems like another, however, it'll just add flavor text, which I really do appreciate.
Next mechanic!
I can't tell you how many goddamn times I've picked up a game that I haven't played in like 3 weeks, turned it on, and immediately asked myself, oh yeah, what was I doing? It especially hurts when they have a tutorial guide telling you the most insignificant facts every 5 minutes, yet for whatever reason aren't there for you in your time of need. Some games, however, hit the nail right on the head when it comes to things like this. Think Chrono Trigger, for example. You can go to the end of time, talk to this old man over here, and he'll tell you exactly what he's doing without intruding on your adventure. Same thing applies to Other here. You could turn around and talk to the wizard if you have any sort of questions about what you were doing or where you were going. Super helpful. Love this idea. I'm actually a really big fan of the wizard's design. It's super memorable to me, the way that he has his armor plating on and all that. I really like it. Another little thing I want to touch on is how the overworld encounters are handled. Remember in Zelda 2 how you would see those shadow-like sprites roaming around in the overworld? You wouldn't know exactly what you were getting into, but based on how menacing the shadow thing looked, you could infer what type of enemy you were fighting, almost like a tier of sorts. I was actually a fan of this. It allowed for a mystery, something you might have not expected when going into said battle. Oh yeah, and they weren't random, plus they were skippable if you optimized your movement. God, thank you! Okay, I'm running out of footage here to use without spoiling the real crown jewel of this game. Let's talk about arguably the coolest thing about Other, the battle system. Alright, I know what you're thinking. Nah, I'm just kidding. But look at this shit! Yeah, you know the topic of fusing 2 video game genres from earlier? Yeah, this is what I was talking about. When I saw this footage for the first time, my mouth kinda dropped a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, look how fresh this looks! It's played out as a beautiful combination of JRPG with 2D, real-time side-scrolling arena action. This is crazy! You can wham on enemies in an almost beat-em-up style with combos. You can wall jump, dash kinda like in Celeste, shoot projectiles, charge up attacks, wave dash? Did they just put wave dashing in my RPG? I swear, the potential is overflowing here. There's so much you can do in a scenario like this. Heck, there's already a foundation here in the first place. From this footage, we can see here that you can actually wall jump. Imagine a scenario where the enemy is heavily barricaded and you have to weave your way through. Imagine if the enemy was shooting down at you from above and you had to complete a short vertical section to reach. Imagine if you had to escape a prison of blocks by swinging your weapon through to destroy something, kind of like in the Mole Knight fight from Shovel Knight. And the battle system that's already in place doesn't even end there. There are spells. Tons of them. I think that we've only seen like 3, so... But hey, there's a punch spell here! The only actual spell we've seen so far is this Barrier spell, which puts an enemy in a barrier so they can't move around or attack. That's already a super unique and interesting move, but it's the way that you cast the spell that's really interesting to me. It's done through this interactive bar that you have to time your button presses on. Sound familiar? In fact, one of Pringle's inspirations for an active battle system like this comes from the Mario and Luigi games and Paper Mario. So if you're a fan of that, I'm sure you will be for this system. There's still so much more to this system that hasn't gotten much of a spotlight, but it's worth discussion. So talk about it in the comments below. Guess we'll just have to wait and see what this does. As for the enemies that we've seen so far, there's Claude, this cat-looking dude, and the Barbaria Bro Jr. Say that 10 times fast. Already 2 designs that scream the charm of the Mother series to me. They're both funny and clever play on words, and again, for the 8th time, I still can't wait to see more stuff like this. This is easily the thing that I'm most hyped about with the game. I can envision so much stuff happening and coming out of this, whether it's with more spells, or enemies, or weapons, or armor influencing movement, whatever! God, I just want this out sooner. I wanted to end discussion by talking about the music here. Pringle himself actually works on the soundtrack, and to me, that's amazing. You can actually follow his SoundCloud to check out some of the tracks that he does. He also dabbles in some SoundFont-inspired stuff, like someone I know. Not many tracks are out, but there was honestly enough tracks to fit in this video, so who am I to complain? My favorite track so far is a tie between the battle theme or a song called Time Falling. I mean, listen to these 2 masterpieces. There goes videos on 91 of my subscribers. Occasionally, he'll actually do live streams where he composes some music for others. How cool is that? Too bad he never actually archives it, Quincy! And that's all I really have to talk about for this video. Currently, we're still waiting on a demo, which is fine. I think it's coming sooner than we think, actually. Although the Kickstarter has yet to be a thing, lol. Definitely support the devs on their respective social medias and all that jazz. And if you like this video, you can support by leaving a comment telling me how garbage I am. Thanks for watching, and I hope you're all having a beautiful day.